Okay, in this lesson, we're going to do some eyebrow plucking. It's not as painful as it sounds because we're just doing it in Photoshop. So I promise I'm not going to pull out the tweezers and pluck your eyebrows. You know, it's really painful when I pluck my own eyebrows, but we don't want to go into that. Anyway, so this image here, everything's already been retouched. So over here, my layers palette, let me just click off the little eyebrow layer that I created so you can see. So that's before, without her eyebrows being retouched, and this is after. And you know, let's just come in closer so we can concentrate on one eyebrow here and you can get a better idea of what's going on. Okay, so that's retouched, and that's before. So really, her eyebrows looked really good because my wife is a makeup artist and she's the one that did the makeup for this image. And actually she used something called an eyebrow stencil that she actually puts physically over the model. It's just a stencil of an eyebrow that she can then use to go in with an eyebrow pencil and fill in areas, and then do the outside of the stencil to pluck any stray hairs. So she did that to start with. So the eyebrows, of course, looked really good to start with. And I try to make everything look as good as possible in photography, and don't trust Photoshop to take care of everything. But of course, you know, you can't do every little detail before you click the shutter. So we're going to just go in and just make them look a little more perfect. So, okay, well, let me turn that layer off, and I'm going to make a new layer for us to work on, and I'm also going to name that layer eyebrows, because I end up with so many layers that I just get too confused if I don't have them named. So let's just name that eyebrows. Okay, so I got a new blank layer, and I made that blank layer just by going down here to the Create New Layer button down here at the bottom of the Layers palette. It looks like a little page with a corner turned up. Okay, so I've got my eyebrow layer selected, and what we're going to use for our stencil for the eyebrow is a custom shape. And I had you load all those custom shapes and everything into the preset manager. That was in lesson 2 for loading all the assets that come with these lessons. So going to go down here to the custom shape tool, which in the tool palette here, it looks like the kind of the blobbity gingerbread man right there. That's the custom shape tool. Let me click on that. And before I do anything, I'm going to go up to these 3 buttons up here and here. You know, maybe I should just zoom in so you can actually see this a little bit better. Don't get motion sick when I do this. Okay, the second button in, it's got the little pen tool inside there. That's for making a path. So that's what we want to do. We want to have that button selected because we're going to be using our custom shape tool to make a path. So let me just back out again. Sorry, don't get motion sick on me. Okay, and actually I already have, again, like I said, I already have these eyebrows loaded, which I showed you at the very beginning in lesson 2. Don't they look funny? I just think these look like little, I don't know, there should be like a pair of glasses and a big nose and mustache underneath each one of these little eyebrow sections. What I'm going to do is go from the thumbnail view of these custom shapes to my large list view right there. Extend this. Now I'm going to scroll down here and find my eyebrows. Well, not really my eyebrows, but you know what I mean. So I have these all labeled to kind of help you out a little bit. And this is a professional model that we're working on. And just so you know, most high fashion professional models, their eyebrows have a fairly high arch to them. So what we're going to do is use the high arch brow. So it's DC's eyebrow 1 high arch right. And when I say right and left to these, it refers to the model's eyebrow, with their right or left, not the camera right or left. Okay, let's click on right. And again, I have a blank layer over here named eyebrows, and I'm using the custom shape tool, and I've selected my eyebrow, and I have this button selected over here to make it a path. And what I'm going to do is just start right over here in this one corner of the eyebrow. I'm going to hold down the shift key and drag, and see, that'll make actually a proportioned eyebrow. If I don't have the shift key selected, I can make some really weird shapes. Yeah, That's really a pretty kind of eyebrow right there, don't you think? No, never mind. Let's do this the right way. Okay, hold down the shift key, drag out this eyebrow. And I'm not trying to make this perfectly match over her brow right at this moment. I'm going to do that in just a second here. Once I get about the right size, okay, I just let go of my mouse, and I have my shape right there. And again, it's a path, and we'll deal with that in just a second. Now, because this is a path, you could actually go in and use your pen tool and readjust the points and everything on it to make it match perfectly over this eyebrow. But that's just too much work, and I've never been very good with the pen tool, so I'm going to actually just cheat a little bit and just use a keyboard shortcut. I'm going to do Command T. Of course, on the PC it would be Control T, and bring up the free transform box. And then I'm just going to move my eyebrow template right there, and I'm going to right click or control click to bring up these options, and I'm going to pick distort. So I'm going to be using free transform distort to distort this path. And what I'm just going to do is make it try to match, pulling on these corners here. Just make it overlap her eyebrow as much as possible. Okay, good. And then double click, and there we have our path, making a nice little stencil for us to use for plucking and penciling. Okay, now I need to make this into a path, so I'm going to go over here to, I need to make it into a selection, not a path. I'm going to go over here to my paths palette, right over here, click on that, and you can see we have something called a work path. Well, right down here, if I click on this little button down here, it's got the little dots in the circle down there. It says load path as selection. Going to click on that, and now our path is now a selection that we can feather and work with a little more naturally. Also, just so you know, if you wanted to, I could just command click onto that work path, and it would also load it as a selection. So now I have my selection. Let me go back to my layers palette. And I need to feather a little bit, so let me go up to Select, Modify, Feather, and I'm actually going to feather it about 3 pixels because I don't want a real hard edge to the work that I'm doing to this eyebrow. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is pretend I'm penciling in the brow, filling in any little areas that need to be filled in. So I went over here and I clicked on the clone tool, and I've got my opacity set to 50% because I don't want it to be too dark and look unnatural. And I have this set to aligned, and I have sample, current, and below. Okay, let's get in here and do this. Come in a little bit closer to work. Gonna make my clone brush a little bit smaller here. And there's not a lot of areas to fill in. But the nice thing is, by having this selection, no matter where I go in here, I can't possibly do anything out here. I can't possibly make her brow show up out there. So let me go over here and fill in this area a little bit. Okay. Go over here, and I'm just sampling from good eyebrow and coloring in any areas that need to be colored in. And that looks pretty good to me. Now I'm just going to go up here to Select, Inverse, and I'm inversing the selection and still using the same clone tool. I'm going to go in now and get rid of any of these areas that are spilling out over my marching ants. So let me just go in here real quick. And here's a couple of stray eyebrows, hairs. I'm just going to pluck those real quick. And again, it's painless plucking. Or if you want to, you can say ow, ow, ow as you're plucking. I don't know. Just me. Okay. Cool. And I think that looks good. Let's get rid of those marching ants by Command D or Control D to deselect. Let's back out a little bit. And look, we have a perfect eyebrow. And if it actually looks too perfect, let me click that button off and on, the little eyeball button. If that looks too perfect to you and too unnatural, just lower the opacity of the layer. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. All right, so let me back out a little further, take a good look. Cool. And there we have a fixed eyebrow. Now just do the other eyebrow exactly the same way, and you'll be all set. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.